Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of At Home, the show where I get a chance to talk to folks about how they are, using their time and using little, tips and tricks and, small tools that help them sort of get through the day. The last, year and a half of this pandemic has been eye-opening to say the least. And I've noticed myself and friends of mine, colleagues, etc., we have all had to find, after we kind of got through the slow burn of the first 6 months of 2020, we all started to have to figure out like, okay, how do I deal with the day? How do I get through any particular day, and not just get through, but thrive? Accomplish the things I actually, we all want to really accomplish. And we find these most of us have come up with these little, tools that have helped us. So for example, I've used one where making sure I get up and take a walk. It's real simple, but take a quick walk, put on an audiobook or a podcast, and just get your mind out of the thing that it was in before. Because these days it's been really easy, unfortunately, to let your brain go down a path that isn't super productive, whether that's negative or just a distraction because you're just having a hard day. And so we find it useful to really talk about these things that can help one another. So on today's show, I'm really excited to bring in my friend, Paul Weber. Paul, how are you doing?
Hey, Jeff, how you doing? Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. It's so good to have you on the show. So I won't do you an injustice. How about you go ahead and do an introduction for everybody?
Well, that's very kind of you. Thank you. So I run a company called Love Audio over here in the UK, and it's an audio production business. And essentially, it's telephone on hold marketing messages. It's voiceover narration for video. It is anything to do with audio, really, that can be used in a marketing way. So that's me. I've been a voiceover artist for 20, 30 years or so. I've been in radio since 1989. I know, showing my age, I get that. I'm also back in radio at the moment. I'm doing a regular afternoon show, 1 till 4, on a station called Zest in Liverpool in the UK. So that's keeping me busy. And yeah, I'm about to launch a retail business as well. So everything's really exciting. I'm probably spinning too many plates at once, Jeff. But my father always said to me, he said, why don't you calm down and just do one thing? It's just not in my nature. So that's me.
I could tell ever since you and I have known each other, which is for a better part of, since the beginning of the pandemic, I think, when we
Yeah.
first met in this live streaming group, you've done exactly that. You've had like 4 or 5 different plates going on at any given time, which I admire. It's something I've personally tried to do in the past, and my personality, as fast as I talk and tend to move, I've always found that if I try to use that energy to do multiple things, it actually just creates anxiety. And so I have to be that
Yeah.
person to like just pick the one thing and just do it and then move on to the next thing.
Well,
So
I'm trying to get into that discipline, Jeff. So yeah, maybe some tips from you would help me do that. Maybe just focus on one thing at a time. And what I'm trying to do is look at the three things that I've got going on and go, right, okay, I can devote that much time to that much time to that, and that much time to that. Not trying to do all three things at once. So any tips you can give me, that would be gratefully received. Trust me.
well, I would be happy to do that. But today's show is all about you. It's all about how
Okay.
you're getting through and, kind of blocking off or managing your time. And managing your time is probably too big of a way to say this, or too black and white of a way to say it. But you brought up something really interesting, which is the way your career has gone as a content creator,
Mm.
and the types of work that you do. And
Yeah.
from conversations you and I have had in the past, it sounds like the nature of the type of work that you do is not just like I've always been in corporate America, like working in IT or other jobs where regular paychecks, a set number of hours, you have your set tasks you work on, there's projects, but it's kind of like you have your set flow, you go home when the day is over, and generally you kind of get to disconnect when the day is over. But as a
Yeah.
content creator and more of an independent, business owner, small business owner, I have to imagine that what you do, not just to bring in money, but to keep your business flowing, is much more, for lack of a better word, erratic. Like sort of, it's different on an ongoing basis by the nature of what you do. And
Erratic is a good choice of words. Yeah. That's
I
true.
didn't mean to sound negative, but like I was trying to think of a better way to say it. But like I'm thinking of
Yeah.
it almost like that sheet of music. Like there's a rhythm where there are really
Yeah.
high notes and really low notes, but at the end of it,
Mm.
there's your business. Like the song that's at the end of that sheet of music is what your business looks like. Even if on any given day or week it looks like it's doing this or this, that's just the
Yeah.
nature of what you do. So what
Yeah.
I'm really curious about from your perspective
Mm.
is, are there one or two things that have helped you or continue to help you that you're like working on to, you know, just run that business every day and find time to live, like actually be a human being and do the things you love doing that aren't just driving a business?
Yeah, one of the main things that I try and do every single day is I set my alarm for 6:45 a.m. Now, that's not because I've got to get up and do something necessarily specific, but if I don't do that, I've never been one of these guys that can sleep in and just kind of while the day away in bed. That's just not me. Never has been. I think I take after my father for that. He joined the post office in the UK reasonably at a young age, and his day started at 5 a.m. and finished at about 2 or 3 in the afternoon. Then he would sleep and then et cetera, et cetera. But I think, disciplining myself to get up at 6:45 a.m. Is great at the moment because then I record my radio show, and it takes me an hour to do a 3-hour show. It's pre-recorded, but it sounds like it's going out live. So when you tune in at 1 p.m., which is when my show starts, it sounds like I'm there in the studio and it sounds like I'm live, which is brilliant. And technology these days helps us to do that. The other thing I would say is that I try and switch off in the evening if I can. And the beauty about moving to this new place is that literally through that window and across the road, there's a brilliant new micro pub called the Cockle Shell. Okay, and we're near the seaside, so everything's kind of nautical themed and all that kind of stuff. But I've been going over there just for a couple of pints, after the day's finished, sort of thing. And it's a great little pub because they don't allow you to use your mobile phone. If you take a call, you've got to go outside and use it. They want you to put your phone on silent. They don't want you to discuss anything that's um, diversive or that's political in any way. They want you to just have a nice, relaxing conversation with other like-minded people. It's a bit like networking, but it's a great opportunity to go over there, and I've met some really nice people by doing that. So at both ends of the day, there are two things that I do to relax. One is, as I say, setting my alarm nice and early, 6:45 a.m. I get up and do the work. And then the end of the day, I make sure I switch off everything in here and then go over there and relax for an hour or so, and then come back and just chill. So that's my day.
I like that. I mean, it's. I want to say they're two ends of a spectrum because they're not. They're two. One is a habit and is a routine that is created to get your body ready for a structure throughout the course of a day, and both are
Yeah.
very psychological. And the second psychology piece of it I like is this that kind of cognitive disconnection from the things you were doing for the day. And it's super interesting to hear because I think on the surface, the first thought that people who don't go to things like pubs or whatever else to
Mm.
end their day or do those sorts of activities, like I empathize with what you're describing because what you're describing is exactly the sort of way I would prefer to in my days if at all possible. Or like I don't mean just going to have a couple drinks, but like you said, going to sit in a space with other people that you can either converse with or not, watch some
Yeah.
TV, what have you, but not be staring at these pieces of electronics that are constantly chiming with alerts and things like that you feel like you got to go look at. Um,
Yeah.
and I really appreciate that. It's my wife would tell you that if we were sitting here talking, that my favorite thing to do always has been is to go to a pub or go to my local brewery tap room, whatever it is at the end of a day, sit at the bar, not at a table, sit at the bar,
Okay.
have a beer, and talk with the bartender. Like, I
Yes.
just want to have a conversation. I'm not there to, you know, drink my sorrows away or drink the entire evening away. Have a couple beers and go home. But it's to have a
Yeah.
conversation with people. It's on and off because bartenders are moving back and forth. But have a chat. I end up making new friends at the bar, and like you said, you're not just sitting here staring at this by yourself. You're actually, whether they're friends you're making for your life or they're just friends for the next 35 minutes while you're in this pub,
Yeah.
it makes such a huge difference. And I would say on the flip side to that, I really enjoy the idea of getting up at 6 at a certain time in the morning. I get up at 6 every morning now
Mm.
because my son, we get him to school around 7:30, and so it gives me time to, like, if I made coffee the night before, then I can get up and I can have a little cup of coffee before I have to go wake him up and start his routine. And it's
Okay.
nice because you just get up and you're like, ah, you kind of just get the day started. That's interesting. I really appreciate hearing that you've kind of bookended your day with two activities that sort of are designed to ramp you up and then tone you back down again.
Yeah. It's just the way I am now dealing with things because I've never been one to go and socialize in a pub anyway. The last 10 years of my relationship, which has recently ended as well, has never been one where we've been out socializing with people. Just never did it. And so now that I'm able to, it's a really cathartic way of like you say, ending that day and bookending the day as well. It's the bit in the middle, Jeff, that That's the plate spinning thing, where where I'm trying to keep these three things going, but I need to kind of focus on one, two, and three, and divide up my day accordingly. So yeah, that's what I'm aiming at next.
That's fascinating. And
Yeah.
it's probably for another good conversation on another video is to talk about. I've been recently reading about time blocking. I've heard of the term
Mm,
before, but I've never tried it. And I struggle like probably like you do with how do I manage my time? Because if I try to do it too structured, then I'm like, okay, I feel good when I do it. But then the moment something comes up that makes me feel like, well, I'm not free to choose my time anymore. Then I throw the whole thing out the window. And then of course I feel anxiety because I didn't get the stuff done I wanted. So it
right.
creates this weird vicious cycle.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to find, and maybe it's a good help for a lot of people, trying to find ways like you're describing to how do you organize your time in between those two bookends
Mm,
to do the things you know you need to get done while also giving yourself the flexibility that when other things come up you don't feel like you're so rigidly scheduled that if anything gets missed, oh, your day is completely thrown off, because that just is
sure.
going to bring up anxiety for anybody.
Yeah. And with regards to what I'm achieving or hoping to achieve anyway, the retail side of things that I'm launching is a shop just literally across the road and down the street a little bit. I've got a retail unit. So all of the studio will be down there. My desk and any stationery and all that kind of stuff will be down there as well. So that'll be my base. So the home as such, where we are now, will actually be back to a home. There'll be no tech here apart from my phone. So everything will be down the other end. So I'll be able to go in there at whatever, 9 o'clock in the morning or whatever it is, open the door, or probably earlier than that because I'm going to record as well. So I'm still doing my radio show, but going in there nice and early, recording what I need to record, having a bit of a break, opening the shop at 9. If anybody walks in, that's absolutely fine. If they don't, it's not a problem either. I can then get on with the running of the two or three businesses or whatever it is, and then finish up at the end of the day and come home and relax and come home and just switch off. And that's a beauty, I think. That's going to help me when I get into that situation. That'll help me enormously, I think.
I I totally agree. Actually, it's really interesting that you bring this up. So this is probably like number three that we're going to talk about. I think this is fascinating. I have recently discovered that, like, so for people who don't know, I'm in a shed in my backyard, and very similar to what your setup at home has been. Is your
Yeah.
studio has basically been in your home, and it's real for so long, and it's really tough. I only have recently noticed this, that I can get up and walk out these double doors right here and go into the house and
Mhm.
come back. But my work laptop is here, as well as my studio stuff that I do all my personal content with. What it's inadvertently done, I hadn't realized it, is it created a binding between work and personal enjoyment, such that when I look at the shed, all I see is work. I don't see the things that I love doing, like live streaming and creating content. I just feel
Sure.
this. And so what you just described of moving those things physically someplace else, not that everyone necessarily can do it, but finding ways
No, no,
to,
no. Of course not.
yeah,
Yeah.
the concept though, like finding ways to separate those two things so that your work doesn't feel like it's the thing that's encroaching on your actual life, that you can go, like, I closed this, put it aside, now I get to live.
Mm.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. And you mentioned the live streaming things there. That's going to be a big part of what I do. So I've got a YouTube channel, by the way, and we'll talk about that at the end, no doubt. But I have a YouTube channel. I go live every Monday night at 8 p.m. UK time. So that'll still continue, and that'll be done from the new place. It won't be done from here. That won't be until the end of July. So we've got a few weeks left yet. And then I'll also be launching one for the shop. So the shop will get some content with regards to what I'm selling in there. Plus, it'll be online as well. And I have an entertainment kind of side of things, really, which I don't really talk about a lot on the live streaming, but it's wedding entertainment business. So there'll be that will have more content as well. So you'll be able to create content around that, and then put that up on a separate channel, and hopefully grow all three in kind of tandem, if you will. And so, yeah, live streaming will be a big part of what I'm going to be doing at the new space.
I love that. That's awesome. Well, listen, Paul, this has been fantastic. So we've got three things for everybody. We've got getting up at a certain time in the morning, which helps sort of like create that starting point for the day. You've got a way to bookend the evening so that whatever your jam is, whether it's going to the pub and having a couple pints, or working out, or whatever the thing is you personally like doing, but something to sort of bookend the end of the day. And then also
Yeah.
finding a way to create some sort of separation for yourself between what you do professionally and what you love to do personally, whatever those passions happen to be. It doesn't have to be you have a different room that you go into, but whatever you can find that allow yourself to, like, even if it's just a laptop or your work laptop, you close it and you push it off to the side for the end of the day, something that allows you to create that disconnect between now it's time to just go enjoy life, whatever those things happen
Yeah.
to be. That's super important. Thank you. I really appreciate it. How about, would you mind telling everyone where they can find you at your businesses, online, everywhere?
I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, my website is the main port of call, and that's www.loveaudio.co.uk. And you can click onto my social links from there. You can catch me on YouTube, youtube.com/C for the channel, I think it is, and then /Love Audio Production. Twitter is Love Audio. Instagram is PW Love Audio. It's all kind of linked. But like I say, you can link to that from the main website, which is loveaudio.co.uk.
Awesome. Thank you. And for everyone watching, we'll make sure to put that down in the description below so you have access. Paul, again, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate your perspectives.
Jeff, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. And all of you, thank you so much for coming back and watching the show again. I really appreciate it. This is our second episode of the kind of the revamped At Home. If you have any comments, any feedback, please put them in the comments below. I'd love to hear. If you have suggestions of people you'd like to have see on the show, or if you would like to be on the show, just shoot me a message, put it in the comments, whatever you like. I'm more than happy to have additional guests on. The whole point of this is to get new perspectives for people and these other ways of thinking about how we can support our days and our weeks and our months so that we can feel like we actually get to live and that our work isn't, encroaching on our entire lives. We work to live, not the other way around. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you soon.